What's up, everybody? This is Tostemac, and welcome back to another autism vlog. In this vlog, we're going to be talking about something very important, and that is when individuals with autism, be it either adults or kids, deal with stress and overstimulation. Now, this is a very important topic to discuss, whether you're a parent or a kid, especially when you're out in the public or an important event.
Hey, Steven.
Mom, what are you doing here?
Well, I heard you talking about stress with individuals with autism, and I thought I might be able to give you some help on this.
Well, you did read the sign that says, on the air, keep out, right?
No, it said do not disturb, and you're past that point.
Look, I appreciate your concern. I'm not being mean or whatnot, but I am the individual with autism, and I think I can pretty much cover what there is to be said.
Actually, no, you can demonstrate the behaviors. However, being able to articulate the pre-steps, the actual event, and the recover steps, that's more for a parent to say.
What are you demonstrating? I'm not demonstrating. The only thing I'm demonstrating is me being angry of you interrupting me.
No, you're demonstrating not being able to cope with an alteration in the program that you had in your head.
Ugh. So what, you think you would be better at talking about this topic than me?
As a person with autism, you live with it. As a parent of someone with autism, I've had to raise it. So I think I'm a little bit better placed to be able to instruct people in the before, the meltdown, and the recovery.
Okay. You know what? Since you think you're a little better at this than I am, how about you take my seat? I'm just gonna go lay out so you do your thing or whatnot.
Why, thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. Okay, so you've just now seen a very good example of how a little event can translate to a big stressor for our children on the spectrum.
That is not a good example.
I think it's a very good example.
No.
So what we're seeing is Stephen had something in his head. He was going to do a recording and he was going to be talking about something. I, as is oftentimes in society, interrupted his thought. I interrupted his plan and I changed what the environment or what was expected to come up. For those of you with children on the spectrum, you recognize how absolutely devastating that can be to our children. As I watched my two boys growing up with autism, it was very clear to me that not only did I have to deal with the meltdowns, but I needed to learn the triggers, the events that happened before the meltdown, so that not that I was going to have my children avoid these triggers, because let's be honest, we're never going to be able to capture all the triggers, but instead that I could use these examples to teach my boys how to handle these triggers so that they wouldn't have the meltdowns, or if they did have their meltdowns, I had to teach them how to do self-recovery. Mom and dad is not always going to be there. Now, this is something you want to start very, very early on. As soon as you know that your child has problems, you want to look at, okay, what is it that's creating the situation that causes your child to melt down? In this example, Stephen had a plan in his head. He had a rhythm going and I interfered. I broke his chain of thought. That oftentimes happens to all of us in life. But the difference between the individual on the spectrum and the individual who's not on the spectrum is in how we are able to handle it. You and I go through days where we're working on something and all of a sudden your boss comes up to you at the last minute and says, "Oh, Ellen, I want you to change channels and go do this instead." That's very anxiety producing. So we all are going to have this anxiety. The difference is, how are we going to handle it? A person on the spectrum is probably going to have more difficulty than the person not on the spectrum. So in this instance, I interrupted Stephen's thought and right away he became angry. Now, if he's in with general society and his boss does that to him, that's not going to work very well for him. So what I need to do as a parent is take a look and see what are some of the triggers that will set my son off. I then need to teach him, okay, what are some of the coping skills? So for example, I know for Stephen, a couple of his triggers. Number one, he does not like to be interrupted. Number two, he does not like tasks put on him at the last minute. Okay, so that's just a couple of the things that I as a parent have observed. Take a look at your children. Just sit back and watch them and see what lights their fires, what gets them upset, what heads them into that meltdown. Then take a look and see, okay, they're not going to be able to avoid those triggers, but how can they better cope with it? So right now, we're giving you an example. I have interrupted Stephen, and he has self-regulated. He excused himself from this video so that he can pull back, regroup, and then when he is ready, he will come back to the scene.
Still my video, by the way.
Okay. The other thing that Stephen's using right now, which is something that he worked very hard for, is his sense of humor. That is something you guys have enjoyed throughout these videos. Every now and then, Stephen will say something very funny, he will interject something, and it'll give us a little bit of a giggle. But see, for Stephen, that's a coping skill. That's kind of his way of letting society know, okay, I'm really upset with you right now, but I'm going to try and find the humor in this. I'm going to work my way through it. So he will do little things like that. He'll put little quips in there, or he'll do a little funny, or he'll make a woo type of a noise. These are his coping skills. So now we've avoided a meltdown. But let's just say for the sake of argument that Stephen actually ended up in a meltdown. And everybody, we know what those are with our children. They're not the same for any two children, but some similarities are yelling and screaming, throwing things, hitting things, self-destruction, running away. These are just a couple of things that you might see in a meltdown, okay? Well, if it's a meltdown that's not going to hurt the child, God bless you, you're lucky. Most meltdowns usually result in someone or something being damaged, and we don't want that. So if your child's in the meltdown, you know what that child needs, and you're going to have to teach the child what to do. But more importantly, again, try and catch them, teach them beforehand what their triggers are, teach them coping skills, and you can use yourselves as a guide. When you're stressed and anxious, what are some of the things that you will do to release your anxiety? I'm working on a project, my boss comes to me, I'm almost done with that project, I really want to get this thing off my desk, and she comes in and she goes, no, Ellen, stop that, I want you to go this. Okay, my anxiety level's up because I know this other project has a deadline. Now I know I'm going to go to my boss and say, okay, Miss Susie Q, I'm just about finished with this other project and you gave me a deadline of tomorrow morning by 10 a.m. I only need to do these 3 items. I'd really like to be able to finish this before I change channels, or if you want this to become my new priority, then I might need a little extra time on this. See, that's a coping skill that I've learned over the years. That's one of the things that I need to teach my boys so that they can understand that we all are going to have stress in our life. We're all going to have anxiety attacks. It's not the event, it's how we handle the event. And with having said that, let's check back in with Stephen and see how he's doing. Stephen!
Oh, you think you're so clever.
Humor. Okay, how are you feeling, son?
Well, now that taking a few minutes to breathe and whatnot, I feel a little bit better.
Okay, but you're still not happy that I interrupted you.
Oh no, I'm giddy with excitement.
More humor. Okay, but you're going to see that he's not, if you look on his face, you don't see the anger, you don't see the frustration. But now, more than likely, Stephen is going to be able to continue with the rest of this video.
Well, actually, since you got the main point across, I have to wrap up the video now.
In that case, I'd like to tell everybody thank you so much for listening to Tostemac, and please remember to like and share because our messages, Stephen's messages, really need to get out. More parents need to understand this.
I appreciate, but maybe you should let me do the outro. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed this autism vlog, why not check out some of the other autism vlogs I did? You can find it in a playlist. And until the next video, see you later.
Bye.
Man, this feels so weird.